aweze kutueleza sisi. Lakini nimeona ya kwamba hakuna mawasiliano na akaendelea kuenda katika ile nambari ya 4 ambao sio mawasiliano. Ningetaka kujua Bwana Speaker, yale mawasiliano ambayo tulikuwa tumefanya kwako Bwana Speaker, na ukaahidi ya kwamba hivi leo utayaleta mbele ya bunge, na hivi sasa umeenda katika kipengele cha 4 umekosa kuileta hapa yale mawasiliano ambayo kwa upande wa walio wachache hivi sasa wanakosa uongozi wao. Hakuna whip wala deputy, na ilikuwa wewe uweze kuwasiliana ili tuweze kujua uongozi upo, ili tuweze kuendelea na katiba za bunge la Senate. Hivi sasa ni jambo la kusikitisha ya kwamba umepita ratiba hiyo ya 3 ya communication, umeingia katika. Tunataka kama kuna uamuzi wowote ambao uliufanya, na haifai kuwa na uamuzi, unatakikana kuleta communication kwa nyumba. Lakini sasa mimi ninaona kuna kizungu mkuti kinaendelea ambacho ni kwa nini tunataka kujua wewe hutaki kutuambia sisi ni jawabu gani ambalo unaweza kucommunicate kwetu na kwamba wewe hujaleta hiyo ratiba hapa ndani. Ni kizungu mkuti gani kinaendelea hapa ndani ya bunge la Senate ya kwamba unanyima walio wachache kuwa na viongozi wao wanaowahitaji ndani ya vile viti? Asante Bwana Speaker.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Point of order. Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I can see there are requests and interventions. So I don't know, Olekina Redama, Senator Wanalok.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I rise to really inquire from the chair's office, on the chair's desk, on the communication that the chair promised to deliver in terms of the leadership of the side of the minority. Mr. Speaker, we know from history that what goes around comes around. Well, I'm a bit perplexed that the chair has decided to draft new standing orders. Mr. Speaker, sir, the standing orders are drafted and passed by this House. Yesterday, we conversed on the issue of the communication from the leader of the minority on matters dealing with the leadership of the minority side. Mr. Speaker, we do not want to impute any improper motive on the Speaker, the substantive Speaker of this House. Because, Mr. Speaker, you are a colleague, but today you are sitting in that seat as a Speaker. But we are concerned because the substantive Speaker is now exhibiting characters of a prefect, someone who wants to come and prefect political parties. It shocks us that the substantive Speaker, Mr. Speaker, and we are not discussing the character of the Speaker here.
You are a very renowned, outstanding senator for Nalo.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I agree.
Of course, you know the standing orders cannot allow even to discuss, not even the Speaker, the conduct of any Kenyan who is not here to defend himself.
Okay, Mr.
So
Speaker, I'm guided.
Kindly execute
Mr.
your
Speaker,
without referring to
I will not refer to the substantive Speaker in person, but the Speaker's office is an institution. And when we see that the institution is now attempting to investigate on the circumstances that led to the minority side deciding to change their leadership and appointing a new leadership, that in itself leads a lot to be desired. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of reason, This is a house of union. This is a house that is supposed to show high level of discipline. It is a house that has got the best legal minds here. The Secretariat, Mr. Speaker, give advice to us legislators whenever we have any matter to be able to deliberate here. But we are concerned because on our side, we've got no leadership at the moment. We only have the minority leader and his deputy. We do not have a whip. We do not have a deputy whip. The communication, and I'm trying to understand, Mr. Speaker, and sometimes I wonder whether we have different schools that people go to when it comes to reading simple English. Section 23, Standing Order number 23, 6, is self-explanatory, Mr. Speaker. I do not want us to cause any havoc here, but seriously, if a house of union, a house that is supposed to make laws in this country, led by a distinguished speaker, cannot be able to clearly read what is indicated here, Mr. Speaker, and it clearly says, upon a decision being made by the minority party, under the standing order, the decision of the party shall be communicated to the speaker in writing, together with the minutes of the meeting at which decision was made. It does not talk about anything to do with fair administration of justice. It does not talk about anything to do with different conflicts or the speakers now trying to meddling into party affairs. Mr. Speaker, I may want to beseech the chair to desist, because a chair is not a prefect of a political party. A chair sits there, he's blind, he's only there to guide. But there is a tendency now, Mr. Speaker, which is a bit dictatorial, where the chair dictates what can come out of our mouth, what we should say. It is some sort of gagging, Mr. Speaker. If we are going to continue with that trajectory, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that we might as well fold and leave, because democracy has already been sunk into a 6-foot hole. We cannot allow that, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to beseech you. You are one of our colleagues. Can we stick to this? Because I believe that if we do not abide by these standing orders, it will come back to what Senator Orengo was telling us here. You know, that we have to be very careful of our actions as leaders. We have to demonstrate that. Because if this house alone cannot be respected or cannot respect itself, then what exactly are we doing? So, Mr. Speaker, I want to beseech you. I want to beseech you, Mr. Speaker, because of what is happening here, Mr. Speaker. What is happening here? You know, of course, we have, nothing stops us from exercising the Constitution and the standing orders. And these standing orders are very clear. We have other avenues. So, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to beseech you that before we proceed, because there's no business which is going to proceed here, I can assure you that with all due respect, what we want is the chair. No, Mr. Speaker. We have agreed from the onset, Mr. Speaker, we have agreed from the onset that I have a lot of respect for you, and I'm not disrespecting you in which way. So would like to know, Mr. Speaker, I am not speaking to the majority leader. Majority leader, I think, have some respect. You need to shut up when other people are talking. This business of talking every time as if you are the only one who has the monopoly of words, Mr. Speaker, it's a little bit ludicrous, and we will not allow. I have respect for the Speaker, and we will not allow this sort of gagging. So, Mr. Speaker, we are elected leaders. When we are in this house, Mr. Speaker, I respect Mr. Speaker.
I want to give the
so, Mr. Speaker, as I
Majority Leader, you are on intervention.
See, this is my my problem, Mr. Speaker. The problem that I have, I said yesterday, okay, it can even be last year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are... Can I be heard, Mr. Speaker?
Proceed and
I want to proceed. Which standing order? Anyway, Mr. Speaker, this is a point that I'm trying to prosecute here. They asked you a very simple question. Why haven't you communicated? To the best of my knowledge, and I don't want to be dragged into the operations of the office of the Speaker, I'm only concerned for time, Mr. Speaker, that it's now 2:53. I thought by now, because we have serious business that you want to prosecute, you should have either given them their communication the way they want it, or informed them the reasons why they have not received the communication. That's the only thing I wanted to say. I have no problem with you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
How can I say it? How can I say it when you're heckling?
Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you, Majority Leader. Senator Kajwang Moses.
Mr. Speaker, the substantive point of order is before we leave order number 2, we expect a communication from the chair. We do not expect a ruling because there's nothing to rule on. A ruling comes when there's ambiguity, when there are gray areas. But where the standing order is clear on how the majority or minority side should conduct themselves as far as leadership is concerned,
Senator Kajwang, before you proceed, the minority leader asked me a very simple question. And I'll give him right away.
Mr. Speaker,
so I want you to finish.
This is my point of order. It's not on the minority leader.
Because you are dwelling on what I should give. He asked me a question and I will answer
Mr. Speaker,
right
this
away.
is my point of order. It's not synchronized with the minority leader. We do not, and I do not expect a ruling. Mr. Speaker, if you're going to give a ruling, you will be taking powers that do not belong to you. The role of the Speaker is in the Constitution, is to be an umpire and not a player. Mr. Speaker, you cannot put on the uniform of one side and purport to decide for some side of the game how they should conduct themselves. Mr. Speaker, I'm on a point of order, Senator, with due respect to the chair. Mr. Speaker, this House is a last frontier for free speech. And Mr. Speaker, if the chair is going to gag us, and I have a lot of respect for the chair as an institution, and even for the gentleman sitting on the chair, I've got a lot of respect for that gentleman. This is a last frontier for free speech. We must ensure that there is fidelity to the Constitution and fidelity to the standing orders. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge you not to be dragged to be part of political party or coalition intrigues. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge you to allow the minority to be led by those they want and the majority to be led by those that they want. And Mr. Speaker, I want to say this on the floor of the House, that there is no senator who's more special than the other. All of us can serve. All of us can lead. Mr. Speaker, when we communicated changes on the leadership of the minority side, we were saying that we need someone else to be our whip and somebody else to sit on the bench. And Mr. Speaker, I've personally been very conflicted in the decision that we have taken. In this House, the senior-most member in this House, in terms of longevity, is Senator Stewart Madzayo, followed by Senator Fatuma Dulo, followed by Senator Moses Kajwang, followed by Senator Aaron Cheriot. If leadership was conferred on the basis of experience in this House, I would not vote against Senator Fatuma Dulo to stop being our whip. But sometimes there are factors that come into play, issues of political party management, allow us, Mr. Speaker, to have the leadership that we want and do not be compelled by anybody in leadership of this House to influence your thinking. And Mr. Speaker, finally, and I want to, my friend Aaron, he's smiling, he's a very good friend of mine. And I want to advise him. And the bullfighter today, nowadays, is a bit chilled. Senator Aaron Cheriot, if you are looking for a chihuahua, a toy dog that you can control, go and look for it outside. Do not look for it in the seat of the Speaker. Do not attempt to control the Speaker. Do not attempt to convert the Speaker to a puppet of the majority leader. The speaker is not your chihuahua.
Okay.
The speaker is the umpire of this house.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Speaker, I submit.
Senator Kajwang, let me rest assured, the chair, the member of this chair can never be a chihuahua. Yeah? And rest assured, because I want to give one more member maybe from this side so that we can make progress. Senator Boni Karwale, now you are making me a chihuahua. Senator Mohamed Faki. Leave me alone to make my decisions. Yeah? And if I can be one, not a chihuahua, but maybe a German shepherd, not a chihuahua. My son has a chihuahua, I cannot be a chihuahua. He is a majority whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the attempts by the Senator of Homa Bay to invite me and maybe the chair in the bad manners of name calling, we will not rise to it. Mr. Speaker, this point of order raised by Senator Madayo is very important. If we are true to the standing orders of this House. Proceeding on standing order number 23, Senator Madayo is... Ma? Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the distinguished senator from Kilifi is perfectly in order. But Mr. Speaker, as we support him, because I don't think it would ever be imaginable that anybody other than the leadership on the side of the minority can decide who leads that side in this House. Just as much as, Mr. Speaker, I don't expect anybody else other than ourselves to decide who leads us on our side. This is the Senate of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the opportunity to have orderly business in this House is vested in the chair through the Senate Business Committee Standing Order number 190. And members of Parliament, members of this Senate, let's be very faithful to our standing orders. It is vested in that order. And in that order, Mr. Speaker, the composition of that committee from which you draw your power to control business here is defined. And one of the members of that committee is the leader of the minority. And that leader or minority, as of now, is Senator Madayo. And is aware that you can only proceed according to these standing orders after understanding order number 190. The Senate Business Committee has made a decision, Mr. Speaker, that the order paper will be in the form that it is. Senator Madayo, with maximum respect to you, you are being disorderly for this reason. That you are not telling your colleagues on the minority side, Mr. Speaker, that you and I and the leader of the majority and others, we sat in the business committee of this House and made a decision on this matter. We did. I beg you to listen to me even if I'm wrong. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, we sat, and if you don't know, I'm now informing you. We sat yesterday, and the leader of the majority was invited. If there was any change to the membership of the House committees, he had communicated. The same yesterday, the leader of the minority had not communicated. So, the order paper, you will object. I thought you are a judge.
Maybe you can give him information.
I'm
Not
giving you
another point of
information.
order. You can give him information.
And this must be on record. Mr. Speaker, sir, in that meeting, which was attended by others, including the leader of the minority, the leader of the majority submitted his changes. He was invited, he was not ready. And he was told, you will not hold the majority, it will proceed.
Senator Boni Karore, do you want to be informed by Senator Redamo Rekina? He has some information for you.
No, because he did not sit in the committee that I'm talking about. I don't know what information he wants to give me. If I conclude, okay, I will allow you. I'm not your enemy.
It's not allowing.
No, I'm not your enemy. I'll allow you to inform me after I finish my point.
Lost, Senator Karwale.
Yes.
The opportunity will be lost. You will have been lost. So if you want to be informed, later we should inform you.
Then I would rather lose it because I'm not running short of information as it is now.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Conclude.
Speaking with the dignity that is bestowed to us by this House, the Speaker then informed Senator Madayo that organize your changes, write to me, and the matter is going to be processed. And what Mr. Speaker, sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, if you can protect me, I'm about to conclude. Yes.
Because I'm unable to give them an opportunity, because you're also on a point of order.
Yes.
So I'm unable to, I was conventing through a point of information.
Thank you.
But now...
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes. Conclude.
As I sit here now, just like them, I was expecting that the chair would make a communication as to why the Senate Business Committee has not sat to process their list if they have delivered. Mr. Speaker, up to...
Senator Mboni Karwale, I want to give opportunity to the minority
leader. Your honorable members.
Senator Boni,
yes.
Just a minute, please.
Yes,
let me give some direction.
Yes.
Let me give some direction. I was asked a question by the minority leader. I want him to repeat the question as he asked me this afternoon, so that now I answer later away. Then we make progress.
He's misleading the House.
Mr. Speaker, I will be the last person to mislead this House. And I swear that I cannot mislead not only the House, but even the chair. And I want to say it very clearly that that communication I made to the Speaker, I made it even in the presence of everybody in that House, in that committee room, number 4. It does not require voting at all. It does not require...
Majority leader, you know you are my friend. And I've just asked you, repeat your question to the chair. So that other members, even who came late, can be able to now move together with us.
You are not sitting in that SBC. But I think he's gone out of his way to say...
I gave you an opportunity after order number 2 was read.
Yes.
What did you ask
and
the
I
chair?
asked you a question.
Yes, that's the question I want.
Why are you not communicating? That was my question. The changes. Because it is expected that you communicate the changes to about the leadership. We have no leadership on this other side. You have accepted changes on this other side. You are not accepting changes on this side.
So, honorable senators.
Yeah, can you clarify that?
Honorable senators, I have listened to several senators here on the floor, Senator Rendama. You are very articulate about who should communicate. You have severally mentioned the substantive speaker. When this question was asked even yesterday, I was here, sitting here, and the minority leader really canvassed his communication, and he wanted the speaker to make the ruling. From where I sit, or where I stand now, the speaker is not in a position to give the communication right away. Now, what I request honorable senators we do, is to wait for the speaker to come, wherever you'll be here, to come and give the communication. The communication, Senator Sifuna, the communication is with the speaker. Right Honorable Kingi. The substance, and I'm happy that Senator Endama, you put it very well, that you are waiting for the speaker to come. Therefore, I request honorable members, let us, maybe whatever he is maybe even drafting the communication. So, we go to the next order. Next order.
Order number 3.
Next order.
Messages.
Next order.
Order number 3. Messages.
Next order. Senator Chalgei. Senator Chalgei. Senator Chalgei, have your seat. Minority leader, sit down. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. Resume your seat then. Resume your seat. Resume your seats. Resume your seats, members. I want to give enough time. I will listen to everybody in this house today. Because when you come to the speaker with your constitution, Senator Sifuna, how do you expect me to give you an opportunity to speak in front of my eyes? If you have an issue that you want to communicate to the table, you sit down, you press, and then you are given an opportunity. Yes. We must have order in this house. We must have order. Senator Sifuna, what is it?
Mr. Speaker, first of all, none of us here on the minority side, let me go to the box.
Senator Okech. Senator Okech, please.
Mr. Speaker, none of us on the minority side mean to disrespect the chair or anybody occupying that chair at any particular time. Mr. Speaker, we are getting increasingly frustrated because this is not why we were elected to come to the Senate. We have serious business to be able to transact. We don't understand how a simple matter, such as a communication from the chair, requires all this drama. Mr. Speaker, our point of departure with the chair is under Article 107 when you read it, Mr. Speaker. It says that in the absence of the Speaker, the Deputy Speaker presides. That is exactly or precisely why we have members of the Speaker's panel. It doesn't have to be the substantive Speaker for any business of the House to be transacted. There are even members here who are not even Deputy Speakers but are members of a panel of Speakers, and they come and transact business there. The question I'm asking myself, Chair, is if indeed you are saying that in your capacity as the Deputy Speaker, having sat on that chair, you cannot undertake a simple task like reading a communication, how then would you transact bills and motions, which are far more serious matters that have to wait for the substantive chair? Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to say this here. Nobody is going to scare us. This is our house. I was elected here and in both houses of parliament in this Republic of Kenya. Nobody, none of you, got as many votes as Sifuna. You are not going to threaten me. You have nothing on me. Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear that it does not matter which shenanigans are employed. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter what we have to do. We are saying we are going to change our leadership because it is our right. Mr. Speaker, we want all we want, whether the communication that comes from the Speaker's office is legal, is right or wrong. We don't care. We want it to come out of the Speaker's office so that we can take other avenues in order to enforce our rights as a minority side. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, no, you will not gag me, Cheriot. You did not even get half the votes I have.
Senator.
So just be quiet. Be quiet when I'm here.
Senator
Hautanitisha. These are numbers.
Senator
Numbers don't lie.
You
Mr.
must
Chair,
be
protect
orderly.
me.
You must
protect
be
me.
You must
protect
be
me. You have to protect me.
You just
you have
make
to
your
protect
contributions
me.
facing the
Mr.
Speaker.
Chair, I want to say this lastly. Without any fear of contradiction. Because we are proceeding under the standing orders. Under standing order number 23.5. In fact, this communication from the chair, in my view, is superfluous. Because what it says is that the removal of a senator from the office under paragraph 3 shall not take effect until a senator is elected in the manner provided under paragraph 1. A senator has been elected to replace the outgoing whip. A senator has been elected to take the space of a deputy minority whip. From here, we are proceeding to enforce this because we do not need your communication from you so that we can be able to enforce.
Thank you. No, just a minute. Just a minute. Let me also give some more guidance. When the Speaker leaves his desk to preside over the House, we don't carry any documents from the office. Everything is in these files. So when we go to order number 2, there was no communication to be delivered by the chair. If there was any, I could have done so, and so proudly. But when I was in this chair, there was no communication by the time we were in order number 2. If this communication will be brought to me when I'm here, or any other speaker who will be on this chair, then he or she must communicate. But as I sit here, as I study here, there is no communication on this file. Therefore, if there's communication will land on my desk here now, I will do the communication. Yes. So, what I want us to understand is that I'm not unable to read the communication. It is only that the communication is not here with me. Yeah? So if there's communication, I wish that communication could be brought now. And then, yeah. So if the communication is not here, then a minority, you know where you press your request, which office. That is where you should walk and get the communication. But as I speak, this is the file. This is the file which has no communication. So when I sit, I communicate? Yeah, so I want us to make some progress. But any time that communication is brought here, I'll relay the communication. But then if you ask me where the communication is, I cannot be able to tell you. Yes. What is it, Senator Ndama?
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the direction that you've given. You brought some sanity. My only fear, Mr. Speaker, is that your directive is now purporting to mean that the Secretariat has not done their work. Mr. Speaker, it is something very dangerous, and I would like to persuade you, because of your own words, to allow us to adjourn this House for 5 minutes. We shall bring the communication to your desk. You make the communication, because, Mr. Speaker, we should all...
Now you are directing me, Senator Ndama,
I'm requesting.
on
I'm
what
not
I
electing.
should do,
Mr. Speaker,
which I think I will not
Mr.
follow.
Speaker,
I will not follow that part.
Fair enough, Mr. Speaker. Let me finalize. Let me complete my sentence here. Mr. Speaker, you have done something very good, and I want to thank you for that. Colleagues, you've done something very good, and I want to thank you for that. You have told us here that any time that communication comes to your desk, you shall read the communication. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for that. Give us 3 minutes, it will land in your desk.
You have all the time. You have all the time. 3 minutes are too few. Senator Chaligay, 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for, when I raise, as much as I agree in the reading of Article 107, it says either Speaker or Deputy Speaker or any member, including Speaker's panel, may preside. But the Constitution does not say may preside in favor of the minority side. That is where we debate. Mr. Speaker, I have been listening to you. Under Article 3 of the Constitution, every person, including you, should protect the Constitution. Yes. It means if the issue that minority side was raising did not meet or violated Article 47 on fair administrative action, Mr. Speaker, you cannot just be a conveyor belt. The law does not see, when you read, Mr. Speaker, Article Section 23, standing order number 23, it does not mean that the Speaker is the conveyor belt. So what the minority side, Mr. Speaker, is inviting you to do is to become a conveyor belt, Mr. Speaker. When you read, Mr. Speaker, standing order 45, please, can you listen to me? I was listening to you, Mwami. No, you should behave, Bwana. You should behave. Standing order number 45, Mr. Speaker. Standing order, Mr. Speaker, can you protect me?
Are you okay? Proceed. You are doing
Standing
so well.
order 45, Mr. Speaker. And I request that at least you listen. Mr. Speaker, standing order number 45.
Senator Sifuna, please.
Mr. Speaker,
No,
you need to protect.
Senator Sifuna, please.
Please, Mr.
Let us have
Sifuna.
order in this house.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator Anduro,
I'm on the floor.
Senator Anduro.
No. No, kindly. No. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Roba.
Mr. Speaker, all of us, Mr. Speaker, are colleagues, and we must behave in a respectful manner towards each other. Regardless, Mr. Speaker. And then, Mr. Speaker, understanding order 45. Mr. Speaker, no, Senator Eddy, you don't need to shout. We are not in a public rally.
Senator Chaligay,
Mr.
please.
Speaker, can I conclude?
Stop engaging other members.
Okay,
conclude
but you need to protect me.
Prosecution.
You know I'm not expert in demonstrations and mandamanos. Standing order 45, standing order number 45, sub-article 2. The business shall be disposed in the sequence in which appears in the order paper or in such other manner, other sequence as the Speaker may. So you cannot tell us to respect Article 107.
That standing order. That is why I said any time.
Yes,
that
we
we
get
get
the
communication.
Can I get to the meat?
Yes.
Can I get to the meat, Mr. Speaker? Can I get to the meat? Article 107 invites you to preside the House. But standing order 45, standing order sub-article 2, it says the business shall be disposed of in the sequence in which appears in the order paper or in such other sequence as the Speaker may, for the convenience of the Senate direct. The Speaker has said he can rearrange. Senator Sifuna, you might be new, Mr. Speaker. We have always rearranged the order paper. This is not the first time, and tradition.
Senator Chalia, you have been on. Thank you
as I conclude, Mr. Speaker.
No, conclude.
As I conclude,
you have concluded.
We have reorganized order paper before. Mr. Speaker, don't be invited to the circus that I'm seeing here.
Your point is very clear, Senator Chalgay. Yes, Majority Rinda.
Mr. Speaker, I'm increasingly getting concerned, and I want to invite you to standing order number 121 on disorderly conduct. And I'll read it so that it is clear, because I'm seeing a scheme here, Mr. Speaker, that the minority side does not want us to process any business today. And they are setting a very bad precedent. They are setting a precedent that in future, Mr. Speaker, if for whatever reason the majority side decides on a particular matter and your office either disagrees, delays, or for whatever reason is not able to do it in the manner and the speed that the majority side wants, that we become chaotic, we become disorderly, we forget that this is a house of order, this is a house of rules, and begin to engage in a shouting match. I don't think that is a precedent that we want to set in this house. I have been where the minority side are today. We used to be 7 senators only on this side during the famous days of the handshake. But there is no day that I created chaos in this house. I will sit down, wait for my turn, make my point, whether I win or I lose. We used to lose every vote every day. But there is no day I became disorderly, Mr. Speaker, because I respect this house. I want to urge you, Mr. Speaker, and you know, Senator Sifuna, teach him some manners. Mr. Speaker, it cannot be that every time, it cannot be...
No point of order. Nothing is out of order.
It cannot be, Mr. Speaker, that every time when other leaders are speaking, you want to be the one that you're shouting. You are shouting at the Speaker, you are shouting at the colleagues. For heaven's sake, you're only 3 months old in this house. Keep your calm, learn, be a good disciplined student. There is nothing to be excited. There is nothing to be excited about being elected. For your information, I have been elected 3 times, and I didn't have to try 6 times like you before coming to this house.
Majority in the country.
You know,
have your cool also.
You know, Mr. Speaker,
Yeah, so
Mr. Speaker, it cannot be.
Have your seat, resume your seat, Senator Sifuna.
Ai. Kwani unatisha nani wewe? Peleka huko, kwenda kabisa.
Senator Majority Leader, I want to
anyway,
make some
this is
progress.
my point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I have given the direction on
No, Mr. Speaker,
what we are doing.
I want to, no, I haven't invited you to my point of order. My point of order is standing order number 121, Mr. Speaker. And I want you to read it with me so that it can be understood. A senator is disorderly if, number 1, creates disorder like they are doing. 2, no need to read it. 3, unnecessarily interrupts the proceedings or consults in a disruptive manner. That is what we are witnessing this afternoon, Mr. Speaker. What option do you have? Because we now want to progress. The side that I lead wants to sit down and conduct the business that brought them to this house this afternoon. We are tired, Mr. Speaker, of being engaged in something that is not productive. If there is a dispute between you and them, please find a way of sorting it out. But as for us, we came to transact the business that our constituents elected us to come and do in this house, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I urge you to exercise your powers under standing order number 122, so that senators who are grossly out of order, lead them out.
Definitely, I'm very well versed with these standing orders. But what I want to say, honorable members, senators, honorable senators, but wait. So why are you engaging me, Senator Mazayo? Why? Why are you engaging the chair? You've not been so lenient the whole afternoon. Senator Okech, Senator Sifuna, yeah? I don't want to mention the anti-senator who I have been lenient to. Even I wanted to give an opportunity to the elder of the house to give him some guidance, but you are outpowering him with your voice. So what I want us to do, honorable senators, I've told you any time that I can reorganize the business of the day. I have those powers to do that. But as we speak, I don't have that communication. So allow me to proceed with the business of the day. If there be any other communication that will come, then I will not hesitate to do the communication. Minority, if you bring the letter that you gave the speaker, how can I prosecute the letter from my seat? Sorry? It is not possible to do that. If you have a new letter, process it the way it should be processed. I cannot process it from where I sit. Of course, you know that. Yeah? So, cracks, I want us to make progress now. Next order, please. Next order. I have been very good ruling on this matter. Next
order number 3, messages.
Honorable senators, I have a petition from the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly. Honorable senators, after I finish with this message, after I clear with this message, then I will have your point of order. Allow me to read this message. Honorable senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have passed on to standing on. I have given direction on this matter. I have given direction. Have your seat, please, senators. If you don't want to have your seat, then you can do the honorable thing that you wish you can do, because now we cannot transact business that way. I have said I will give you Mazayo after I'm through the message. Senators, can you resume your seats? We make progress. Minority in the out of order. You out of order. You out of order, Miss. You have no respect for the chair, and we cannot transact business that way. Yes, no, we can't do that. Is it your business to order the chair what to do? Senator Mazayo, do you order the chair? You are engaging me. Are you engaging me? Senator Mazayo, you're out of order. And I'm telling you, I'll throw you out of this chamber. I'll throw you out. For you, Senator Mazayo. But you can't direct the chair on what to do. No, because you can't direct me on what to do. I've given you more than 3 points of order. Senator Mazayo. Senator Mazayo, why are you making this house in disorder? You are Rinda. You are Rinda in this house. Senator Okech, now my coup is running out of you. Senator Okech, can you sit down? Can you have your seat? Senator Redam Orekina, can you have your seat? Senator Sifuna, can you have your seat? Senator Ososi, can you resume your seat? Can you resume your seat, Senator Redam Orekina? Minority Leader, I'm giving you the last point of order on this matter. The last and the last. On behalf of the whole team in the minority side, I'm giving you that opportunity. Proceed. Proceed. Minority Leader, proceed. Minority Leader. Minority Leader, proceed. What is your point of order? Not to know. What is your point of order? You have been raising a point of order when I was reading the message. What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, you and me have been in this parliament. You have been on in the National Assembly. I have been in this house, the Senate House. Mr. Speaker, what is being demonstrated here is a creation of the leadership of the House. And I don't know why, as a chair, you don't want to unlock it. You have stated it very clearly that if I get whatever you wrote, or if I get it even right now, the minutes and everything.
What? Sorry? The communication from the speaker. Is that the communication you have?
No, not the communication from the speaker.
So what did I
I'm saying you stated it very clearly that if I get the notice.
No, I said I want communication.
I have the notice.
The normal way. Communication to lead.
There is a Hansard. There is a notice here, which I've given. There is a letter forwarding all this. There are minutes and the signatures of the senators who have signed.
I think this is the letter you give the speaker, to the speaker's office. That is the communication I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that communication.
Mr. Speaker, can you allow me
Can you table the communication to the table the communication?
Mr. Speaker,
table your communication, then I will read it.
Can you allow me to talk? You know, the issue here is you are so inclined on one side and not looking on the other side. You are supposed to be blind on that chair. And I beseech you, don't destroy the Senate. We have our standing orders which normally we are guided on. Since I came here in 2013, we have been guided by standing orders. For the first time, I'm seeing this Senate discarding and killing and raping the standing orders. It is not fair. So all I'm saying is, I will hand over this letter here in the presence of all and sundry.
You table. Okay, thank you. Let me read the message now, if received. This is the letter to late Honorable Amason Kingi, EGHMP, Speaker of the Senate, discharge of a senator from leadership office. This is the letter the Speaker is working on. And this is the communication I'm waiting. A reply to this letter is what I'm waiting for, and that is what the minority leader was asking last night. Now you want me to reply? You want me to reply? Honorable Senators, let us make some progress now. Let us make some progress. The minority leader, you very well know what you are frogging. And you know where your communication is. Yes. So, where is the communication? Where is it? It's letter. Have you seat. Resume your seat. Resume your seat. Resume your seat.
Just communicate. 23-6. 23-6. Speaker.
Minority leader, please don't approach the chair again. Go back to your seat. Don't approach the chair again. Don't approach the chair again. You and Honorable, please resume your seats. Resume your seats. I want us to proceed. You know I'm being very lenient to honorable members, and I've called you severally. I want us to proceed with the business of today's business. And I proceed to read the message. This is a petition by the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have pursuant to Standing Order 48.4 and 6 received a message from the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly. The message dated Wednesday, 7th December 2022 and communicated by way of a petition and as the Speaker of the Senate. The message which communicates as a solution of the County Assembly on a motion petitions the Senate to, among others, ensure exploitation of water under the Sasumua and Kanoike Dam is reviewed, and agreements amongst the respective water services providers that own the two dams, the national government and the Nyandarua County government, and drafted and allotted by the President, and also ensure equitable share for the service. You know when I'm on the floor, you know the rules of this house. You know the rules of this house. Ramakina, you are grossly out of order. And I will read to you, standing on the 121, Senator Renda Morekina. A senator is disorderly if the senator creates disorder. And now, because revoking standing on the 121, I request Senator Orekina to leave this house until the next sitting. Senator Orekina, I have sent you exhibiting gross misconduct, and please, the sergeant at arms, remove Senator Orekina until the next sitting of this house. And I will continue to finish. Ensure allocation of funds by the national government for the construction of dams in Nyandarua County for the distribution and use by the residents of the county for domestic and commercial use, especially irrigation, which is a major source of revenue.
You are destroying the house. You are destroying the Senate.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to standing on the 87-7, which says that when a message from a county assembly, Minority Leader, you are next.
You have standing orders to guide you.
Minority Leader, you are next.
You are guiding the standing order. Keep the standing order. Number 23, just communicate. Just communicate.
Minority Leader, standing on the 121, also is faulting you new. Minority Leader, you are very disorderly, and also request you to leave the premise. Minority Leader. Minority Leader, Senator Orekina, both of you to leave the chamber until tomorrow. The two members should leave. The two members should leave the house. We cannot proceed before you leave. Senator Rendama and Minority Leader. Whoever is withdrawing, please do it silently so that we can transact business. Okay. So, Honorable Senators, I've read this message from Nyandarua County Assembly, and I want to conclude to read you the prayers. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 48.7, which states that when a message from a county assembly is reported, the message shall be deemed to have been laid before the Senate, and the Speaker may direct the message be dealt with forthwith, B, appoint a day for consideration of the message, or C, refer the message to the relevant committee of the Senate for consideration. So, Honorable Senators, in this regard, I refer the matter to the Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources for appropriate action. There is another message. If you have any comment, maybe I'll give you 5 minutes after this other message. This message is approval of appointment of a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission under Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 46(3) and 4, I have received the following message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the approval of the National Assembly of appointment of a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission under Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution. Pursuant to the said standing orders, I now report the message. Pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41(1) of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. In accordance with the provisions of Article 127(2)(d) of the Constitution, by a resolution passed on Wednesday, 15 February 2023, the National Assembly approved the appointment of the Honorable Johnson Muthama as a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission. Now, therefore, in accordance with the same provisions of the standing orders, I hereby convey the aforementioned resolution of the National Assembly and invite the Senate to also consider and approve the appointment of the male member of the Parliamentary Service Commission. I thank you. Honorable Senators, as you may be aware, the Senate Majority Leader on Tuesday, 14 February 2023, on behalf of the Vice Chairperson of the Parliamentary Service Commission, tabled the report of the Parliamentary Service Commission on the nomination of Honorable Johnson Muthama for appointment as a non-member of Parliament, Commissioner to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Further, I amend our communication. Senator Sigei, you are out of order. Further, I amend our communication committing the matter to the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights for consideration and directing the committee to, within 14 days from the day the report was tabled, consider the matter and report to the Senate on the suitability of the candidate for appointment to the Parliamentary Service Commission. Honourable members, I urge the committee to move with speed and consider the matter and report back to the Senate. I don't know whether there is any member who has a comment. Senator for Nyandarua? Nyandarua Senator? Medu?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And first and foremost, I would want to congratulate the County Assembly of Nyandarua, the county that I represent in the Senate, for this petition that they have done to the Senate. And I would want to first say that the petition is long overdue. Maybe for the benefit of the members who are present today, Sasumwa Dam is a dam that contributes about 14 or 16% of all the waters that are used in Nairobi, managed by the Nairobi Water and Sewerage Company. And part of the reasons why this petition has come to the Senate, Mr. Speaker, is because the people of Nyandarua and even the people of the area of Jambini, where Sasumwa Dam is, they have always had a cry of always taking care of Sasumwa Dam, and there is nothing that comes to the people of Nyandarua. There are agreements that have been done that every time we ask for water for the people of Nyandarua, we are referred to treaties that were signed long before Kenya got independence. Treaties that were signed by the Britons in 1902 that says that the people of Nyandarua and Jambini are only supposed to take care of water, and they are not supposed to use water from the said dam. Konoike Dam is also in Nyandarua, and it serves to a very big percent the residents of Nakuru County. And while we want to say that we will be our brother's keeper, where we want to say that we shall keep supporting other counties because we have the natural resources from our county, Mr. Speaker, I think it is only fair that even as we share resources that we have, it is not right, Mr. Speaker, to give or ask for food from hungry people. It is not fair, Mr. Speaker, that Nyandarua County continues supplying water to Nairobi County and Nakuru County, while the people of Nyandarua do not have or do not enjoy services, water services from both dams. So, Mr. Speaker, where I agree, and because I chair the committee that you've read the petition too, I would want to implore on my colleagues, once we look at the facts and the figures, because I have been able to look at them as a senator of the area, that they will be able to support the people of Nyandarua so that we can be able to deal with this injustice, a long-term injustice that has been meted on the people. On the second prayer, Mr. Speaker, on exploitation of forest harvest from the Aberdare forest and other public forests in Nyandarua, within the framework, I want to agree, Mr. Speaker, that and comment. In the wrong range, Mr. Speaker, we are planning, myself and the County Assembly of Nyandarua, to plant at least 4 million trees in the Aberdare forest and around the Rikor Borsat. Well, Mr. Speaker, the people of Nyandarua have continuously been taking care of the Aberdare forest. We've been the people who have been planting the trees. We've been people who have been taking care of the trees. When tree harvesting happens, Mr. Speaker, we only see private lorries coming and logging and taking our trees, and there's nothing that the people of Nyandarua get. So if even as we address this, I'm sure we are also, because I'm seized of that matter, Mr. Speaker, a more substantive bill will be coming to address this particular injustice, Mr. Speaker. But I would want to commit on behalf of the Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources that we shall do justice to the people of Nyandarua. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions.
Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader. Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to lay on the table of this House the following papers, which is the record of the proceedings of the first ordinary session of the 6th Parliament of the Pan-African Parliament held in Galanga Convention Center, Midrand, South Africa on 23rd of October to 12th of November 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
okay.
Sir, I also beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, the 16th February 2022, being 1, the annual report and financial statements of the Power of Mercy Advisory Committee for the financial year 2021-2022. 2, the annual report and financial statements of the National Police Service Commission for the financial year 2021-2022. 3, the Commission on Revenue Allocation, Second Commissioner's end-term report for the period starting from January 2017 to December 2022. 4, report of the Auditor General on Garissa County Scholarship Fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. 5, a report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Nyeri car loan and mortgage for members scheme fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. 6, a report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Nyeri car loan and mortgage for staff scheme fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. 7, report of the Auditor General on Kiambu County Assembly Staff Loan Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. And 8, report of the Auditor General on the County Assembly of Kirinyaga Mortgage Scheme for Members Fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. 9, report of the Auditor General on County Assembly of Moranga Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund for the year ended 30th of June. And Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, the report of the Auditor General on Kakamega County Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund for the year ended 30th of June 2022. I lay.
Chair, Finance and Budget Committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the Senate today, the 16th of February 2023. That's a report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Government Additional Allocation Cash Disbursement Schedule for the financial year 2022-2023. I beg to lay.
Simultaneously, you can give notice of the motion.
First. Wait. Order number 6, notice of motion.
Okay, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a notice of motion on adaptation of report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Government Additional Allocation Cash Disbursement Schedule for the financial year 2022-2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the County Government Additional Allocation Cash Disbursement Schedule for the financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the Senate today, the 16th of February 2023. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Honourable members, I want to reorganize the business of the day. Now we skip from order number 7 as per your order paper to order number 15, majority leader.
Order number 15, motion, approval of the Senate calendar for the second session of the 13th Parliament.
Okay, proceed, majority leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for indulging me. I beg, Mr. Speaker, thank you for indulging me, and for colleagues also understanding. We are living in very unique times. Therefore, when we get a little breather and some sense of sanity in the House, we want to move as fast as possible and transact as much as we can. This is one amongst a series of motions that I want to move this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, so that we can set, one, the calendar of the House, and also a few things that we want to do, like committees. There are colleagues who don't have the same. So, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion that, pursuant to Standing Order number 32-1, the Senate approves the calendar, regular sessions for the second session of the 13th Parliament, February to December 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 15th February 2023. Mr. Speaker, I laid that calendar here yesterday, and most of the members actually have it. It's on their gadgets. It's just a simple procedure of setting the dates upon which we shall be meeting from February all the way to December. This is a long period. Of course, there are recesses in between. There are moments we'll take a break, but it's a fairly straightforward matter that I want to convince my colleagues in the Senate that let us pass this motion so that now we have a fixed calendar. Of course, there'll be amendments here and there, as is the usual practice. There may be a need for a special sitting in a particular time and the following. But given that this is the first order that we want to do, Mr. Speaker, I want to request that we pass this calendar of the House so that we know how we proceed from here. Mr. Speaker, it's a fairly straightforward matter which I don't need to speak very much at length to. I request Senator Chimera to second.
Senator Chimera.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the same.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that, pursuant to Standing Order 32-1, the Senate approves the calendar regular sessions for the second session of the 13th Parliament, February to December 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 15th February 2023. Any member who want to? Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. And Mr. Speaker, to recognize the fact that this House is able to manage this own agenda. Mr. Speaker, I'm reminded of those days before the 2010 Constitution, when this House could be controlled from outside. Today, Mr. Speaker, we have the capacity, the lack of framework to manage our calendar, the time frame to be in the house, to be on recess, and so on. So it is really a good progress, and I think we've seen the program, or rather the timetable, and I support Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Senator Wakoli Wafula, Senator Bungoma.
I have nothing much to say, but to reiterate what my learned friend has said, I'm a teacher by profession, so that the program, the schedule as presented here, will allow the House to proceed properly, and equally allow us to do our research and prepare properly and ensure that whatever is brought on the floor of the House is adequately handled. Thank you.
Okay. Senator Geduku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to second.
To support.
To support. I rise to support to support this. I rise to support, Mr. Speaker, because now we need to make progress, Mr. Speaker. Have you seen in this House, Mr. Speaker? There has been a lot of shenanigans which has been going on, Mr. Speaker. But right now, Mr. Speaker, we need to make progress because Kenyans are watching. Kenyans want us to work for them. They sent us into this House so that we can be able to do the work that actually, Mr. Speaker, they sent us here to do. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm supporting that we need to make progress and Speaker, so that everything can go in the proper way as it is arranged, Mr. Speaker, or planned. Thank you, and I support.
Okay, thank you. The mover, reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank my colleagues for the comments that they've given. We'll be guided, actually, Mr. Speaker, by the decision of this House. I plead that we pass this motion so that we can set the ball rolling. I know there are many who may have wanted to speak, but I've explained to them the unique times that we are living in and the need to process business when there is order as fast as we can. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move.
Thank you. And this matter does not concern counties, and therefore I proceed to put the question. That pursuant to Standing Order 32-1, the Senate approves the calendar regular sessions for the second session of the 13th Parliament, February to December 2023, laid on the table of the Senate on Wednesday, 15th February 2023. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 16, motion, approval of Senator David Wafula Wakoli to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges.
Yes, Majority Whip.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise to move motion number 16, being the approval of Senator David Wafula Wakoli, MP, to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges. Mr. Speaker, that notwithstanding the resolution of Senate made on 13th of October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate and pursuant to section 15(1)(b)(2) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act and Standing Orders number 197 and 199, the Senate approves Senator David Wakoli Wafula MP to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges in place of Senator Miraj Abdullahi MP. Mr. Speaker, this is a procedural motion, and therefore, in keeping with our tradition, customs, and practices, such motions are usually dispensed of expeditiously. I therefore beg to move and invite Senator Miriam to second the motion.
Senator Miriam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to second the motion, and I believe Wafula can do better. He can capable of the position. I second the motion.
Thank you. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that notwithstanding the resolution of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate and pursuant to section 15(1)(b)(2) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act and standing orders 197 and 199, the Senate proposes Senator David Wakoli Wafula, MP, to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges in place of Senator Miraj Abdullahi, MP. Any member wishing to contribute? Have your seat, Chair, Security? Okay. Senator Tabitha Mutinda.
Thank you, Chair. And I would wish to congratulate Senator Wafula for the new appointment to the committee. And the committee's key mandate is to look at the privileges that members of the Senate do actually misuse. And as per what you've actually seen, from the day we resumed the House on Tuesday, it's been very, very chaotic. And I would urge you, as you embark onto that committee, try and do as per pertains the committee per the standing orders of the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Wamatinga Waume.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. So I also like to support and taking this opportunity to welcome Senator. I serve in the same committee as the Vice Chair, and without wanting to sound as a sadist, I was hoping that we'll get some business from the occurrences of today. It is unfortunate that we didn't get any. We can sit around and wait for it to happen. If it doesn't happen, then we can sit back, but welcome.
Thank you. Having no other senators, I'll call Senator Kalwale to reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to reply. Thank you.
And again, this matter does not concern counties understanding on 84.2, and therefore I put the question that notwithstanding the resolution of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in the select committees of the Senate and pursuant to section 15(1)(b)(2) of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, and standing orders 197 and 199, the Senate approves Senator David Wakoli Wafula, MP, to serve in the Committee of Powers and Privileges in place of Senator Miraj Abdullahi, MP. Will as many as that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of that contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 17, motion, approval of changes in the membership of standing committees.
Majority whip. Senator Gloria Roba.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to move the motion of approval of changes in the membership of standing committees that, notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate and pursuant to standing orders 199, 228, and the fourth schedule to the standing orders, the Senate approves the senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in standing committees of the Senate as follows. 1. Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. Senator David Wafula Wakoli, MP, to replace Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda, MP. 2. Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. Senator David Wafula Wakoli, MP, to replace Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP. 3. Standing Committee on Energy. Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to replace Senator Veronica Maina, MP. 4, Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to replace Senator Gloria Oroba, myself, MP. 5, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Karen Nyamu, MP, to replace Senator Samson Cherargei, MP. 6, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Gloria Oroba, MP, to replace Senator Karen Nyamu, MP. Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, Senator Lelegwe Tumbesi, MP, and Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, to replace Senator Danson Mungatana, MP, and Senator Tabitha Karanja Keroche, MP. I would like to invite Senator Mudigi to second the motion.
Senator Alexander Mudigi.
Bwana Spika, naunga mkono haya yote yamesomwa hapa, na pia ni aibu kubwa sana kwa yale yametendeka siku ya leo katika Kenya, kwa sababu tunajua mwenyekiti kama amekalia walikuwa napiga kelele, na tunaona ile walikuwa nasema kutoka miaka yote, na siku ile senator alisema ati tutakuwa tukipitisha mambo ya MBC itakuwa ni maandamano. Kwa hivyo ametuonyesha ni aibu kubwa sana katika Kenya kuona wakitoka nje katika Kenya. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni kitendo kimoja kimbaya sana. Kwa hivyo tunasema sisi watu wa Kenya Kwanza tutaendelea vizuri na tutasimamisha Kenya na tutajua Kenya kwa kipindi ya miaka 5 itafanya kazi. Ya pili nikimalizia ni kusema yale wametenda hawana hivu, hawana asanti, kwa sababu ile tungeomba ni kuwa tunafikiria Kenya Kwanza tunaiombea mazuri ndio itusaidia maji ya kilimo na mambo ya janga la njaa na mambo ile ingine. Kwa hivyo tunasema nyinyi hamuna asante kwa wale watu walichagua nyinyi, na hamuna asante kabisa, na tunasema ile ingine ni kitendo ile ambaye imesemwa na Sivuna ati hapa alichaguliwa na kura nyingi kuliko sisi. Katika sisi wote hapa Kenya, sisi sote Kenya senator either umechaguliwa kura nyingi ama ni kidogo, sisi wote tuko ni masenator. Asante sana. Ni mimi senator Mundigi katika Embu County. Asante.
Kabla uondoke Senator Mundigi. Senator Mundigi, sijasikia kama umeunga mkono hilo swala ama umeongea story nyingine. Umeunga mkono kweli?
Nimeunga mkono kabisa.
Asante sana. Asante. Okay. Honorable Senators, I propose the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in the select committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Orders 199, 228, and the 4th schedule. To the Standing Orders, the Senate approves the senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in standing committees of the Senate as follows. Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator David Wafula Wakori, MP, to replace Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda, MP. 2, Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, Senator David Wafula Wakori, MP, to replace Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP. 3, Standing Committee on Energy, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to replace Senator Veronica Maina, MP. 4, Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to replace Senator Gloria Magoma Oroba, MP. 5, Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Karen Jerry Nyamo, MP, to replace Senator Samson Kiplotich Chelagei, MP. 6, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Gloria Oroba, MP, to replace Senator Karen Nyamo, MP. 7, Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, Senator Lerengwe Tumbesi, MP, and Senator Esther Okenyuri, MP, to replace Senator Danson Mungatana, MP, and Senator Tabitha Karanja Keroche, MP. A few senators interested. Senator Karen Nyamu.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the approval of the changes on the standing committees. I want to take note of and I want to commend the majority side leadership on the wisdom and the fairness and the delicate balance that they apply and they continue to apply in allocating and assigning these committees, unlike the other side of the minority where they have openly made complaints on the assignment of their committees. I also want to thank my leadership of the majority side for giving me the opportunity to serve in the Labor Committee, where we had begun to undertake finding solutions and fighting for the rights and the welfare of our people in the Gulf, and particularly in Saudi Arabia, where we recently made a visit and in a fact-finding tour recently. And I want to tell the committee that I have left behind to fight hard, because that was something that I was very passionate about, the welfare of our people, especially the domestic workers in Saudi Arabia, to go hard on this matter. I would love to see a solution on this matter. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. I want to give a member who has not spoken today, like Senator Sekirenku.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this motion by supporting the changes that has been done by this leadership of this House, particularly on the issue of, I'm looking at the changes that has been done in the Standing Committee on Trade and Industrialization Tourism, where I chair, and I want to welcome the members, Senator Lelegwe and Senator Esther, to my committee. We have quite a lot of assignments in our committee, and I wish that we continue to finalize quite well the assignment that is on our table. Thank you so much, and I support.
Last but not the least, Senator Okenyuri Esther.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa fursa hii. Ningependa kuunga hoja hii pia kwa kushukuru uongozi wa chama kwa kunipa nafasi ya kutumikia kamati ya ugatuzi. Sisikitiki kuihama kamati ya ugatuzi, ila nimejifunza mengi kwa kamati hiyo kwa muda huu mfupi ambao nimekuwepo. Na ninapojiunga na kamati ya mambo ya uchumi, pia nitakuwa mwenye bidii na kufanya kazi na maseneta wenzangu kwenye kamati hiyo, na pia kuwakilisha vijana na kinadada na wananchi wote ambao wametutuma kufanya kazi hii. Na kwa ndugu yangu ambaye anaingia kamati hiyo ya ugatuzi, seneta wa Bungoma Bifoli, not Bifoli, Wafula, pole kakangu seneta. Na kukaribisha huko, tumefanya kazi njema na natumai pia utaendeleza kazi hiyo na kuwa kielelezo chema cha bunge la seneti. Asante Bwana Spika.
Sana. I can see a lot of interest on this matter, but I am agreed to give the last one. So let me stick to my principle. Mover, I request the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before I reply, I would like to say that I actually had a good time serving in the Senate Committee for ICT as the Vice Chair. And hopefully that all the things that we started working on will actually be seen to fruition. And I would like to thank my chair for trying to push the agendas that we had there. And as he goes forward, I hope that you will not be compromised and that you will actually see that the agendas that we started are seen to fruition. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, being de-whipped as a lady vice chair in this Senate is also a good thing. We can now speak about it and say we were there, then we were de-whipped. So I think that's all I have to say. But I will continue with my ICT agenda through the caucus for women MPs in ICT, which was fought. But now we have a chance to, in fact, I have more time to just deliver the agenda for women MPs in ICT. And I welcome my chair to follow and perhaps learn a few things from what the caucus will be doing out there. And so for this motion, I beg to reply.
Thank you, Senator Gloria. Senator Gloria, you know, you are so enterprising. You can get so many things to do at any time. So you are not short of ideas. Therefore, this matter again is not touching on the county governments, and I put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Orders 199, 228, and the fourth schedule of the Standing Orders, the Senate approves the senators nominated by the Senate Business Committee to serve in standing committees of the Senate as follows. Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, Senator David Wafula Wakoli MP to replace Senator Maureen Tabitha Mutinda MP. 2. Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations, Senator David Wafula Wakoli MP to replace Senator Esther Okenyuri MP. 3. Standing Committee on Energy, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to replace Senator Veronica W. Maina MP. 4. Standing Committee on Information, Communication and Technology, Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to replace Senator Gloria Magoma Oroba MP. 5. Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, Senator Kalen Njeri-Nyamu MP to replace Senator Samson Kiprotich Chelagei MP. 6. Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, Senator Gloria Magoma Oroba MP to replace Senator Karen Njeri-Nyamu MP. And lastly, 7. Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism, Senator Dr. Lelegwe Tumbesi MP and Senator Esther Okenyuri MP to replace Senator David Danson Mungatana MP and Senator Tabitha Karanja Kiroche MP. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 18, motion, approval of Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi to serve in the Select Committee of County Public Investments and Special Funds.
Majority Whip, or who is, okay. Senator Karungo Wadango.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I beg to move the motion that the motion is on approval of Senator William Kipsang Kipkemoi MP to serve in the Select Committee of County Public Investment and Special Funds. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 13th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of the senators to serve in the select committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Order 194 and 197 and 199 of the Senate, the Senate approves Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to serve in the County Public Investment and Special Funds Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Murango, MP. Mr. Speaker, from the onset, I would first of all want to congratulate the said senator, because I never got an opportunity to congratulate him when he was elected as a senator of Elgeyo Marakwet, in the place of, or to fill the gap that was left by the now CS for Roads and Transportation, Kipchumba Murkomen. I know he is up to the task, Mr. Speaker, and I believe he's going to fit the big shoe that was left. Mr. Speaker,
I also want to take this opportunity to thank the Kenya Kwanza government, because while others are fighting for leadership, we are looking for opportunities where we need to fix the members of Kenya Kwanza so that they can deliver on their mandate inside the committees, Mr. Speaker. This committee, Mr. Speaker, is a special committee of which I should declare I'm a member of this committee. And so I welcome the Senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, because, Mr. Speaker, we are tasked to look at the investment of funds that the counties engage in or have, not limited to water companies, conservancies agreements, Mr. Speaker, and of course regional blocks investments that any county would have engaged in, Mr. Speaker. So I do believe the Senator, together with the members of the committee, will continue looking into the mandate of the said committee. Mr. Speaker, I ask the members to support this motion so that the member can, of course, when he was voted for, he needed to sit together with the other senators in the committees, Mr. Speaker, because I believe committees really deliver more than even the whole House, Mr. Speaker. So I believe when you become a member of this committee, we're going to take this committee to the next level. So I beg to move. And I call upon the Senator for Trans Nzoia, Alan Chesang, to second the motion.
Senator Kisang, Alan. Chesang, Alan. ICT.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second. And once again, I would like to also congratulate the said Senator, Mr. Kisang, who is my immediate neighbor, the Senator of Elgeyo Marakwet, and I believe is one man who is going to really bring assistance to this committee. Once again, Mr. Speaker, I would also like to thank Senator Gloria Orwoba, and also assure you that we will continue with our mandate and make sure that the things that we were pushing while you are there will not stale and or stop. I'll also want to assure the Committee of Labor, the Committee of Labor and Social Welfare, that Senator Gloria Orwoba is one person that will really help the committee achieve on their mandate. Otherwise, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I second. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that, notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 19th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate, and pursuant to Standing Orders 194, 197, and 199 of the Senate, the Senate approves Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi, MP, to serve in the County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Murango, MP. Senator Chalge.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion. I think from the onset when some of our colleagues were appointed to the cabinet and by election, it was natural that when new members come, we must try and collect them within the various committees. From the onset, I want to congratulate Senator William Kisang. Some of us had opportunity of campaigning for him. Unfortunately, when he was being sworn in, I was not around. Mr. Speaker, we hope he will fit in. Anyway, he's a member of National Assembly and serving for quite some time and former chair of ICT. So I think he's coming with, at the National Assembly in the last session, I think he's coming with a lot of wealth of experience in the ICT committee. And as the chair of ICT has said, we will work together to ensure he settles in and knows, you know, Senate, Mr. Speaker, should be the house of respect. You know, when some of us were working out to get a few stationary items to discharge serious matters, I met people that were taking away the name of Senator Dulo on the corridor. It's very unfortunate. But I hope as we serve in these committees, and Kenyans, number two, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans should know, because I only have three things to say. One, most of the work is done at committee level. So I want to appeal to Kenyans that they should not assume that when a senator or a member of National Assembly is not speaking in plenary, they are not doing a job. Almost 80% of the work, Mr. Speaker, is done at the committee level. Number three, and finally, Mr. Speaker, is it also gives opportunity for members to go around these committees and learning curve experience, Mr. Speaker. It will give an opportunity. All of us want to get exposure. Everybody wants to serve in one committee or the other. Even in this PIC, the Public Investment Committee, is very important. I think Senator William Kisang has never served in the Senate before. He has never served in these committees. My brother, who was able to, when he was being sworn in, I was a chief escorter, Mr. Speaker. Although he promised me in my culture, when you do such a job, there should be at least 2 cows, but I don't know. Maybe in Luya culture, Omwami, Senator Kalwala will teach me what they give out, because there was a promise that were made. But I want to congratulate him and a number of senators that changes have happened. It increases the efficiency that we are doing to the House, Mr. Speaker. So wish colleagues well as they serve in those new positions. For us, we are willing to work together. If there is any issues we can discuss to ensure the learning curve of our colleagues comes to prosper and fruition, it will be. And Mr. Speaker, the people on the minority side, Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, is I hope as we learn, especially for our new colleagues, we should not pick some of the manners that our minority side will show, Mr. Speaker. Because when Jubilee was frog marching us and putting us in Subarus and whipping us, they were the ones, Mr. Speaker, and then who were busy cheering. And I want to assure them, if the Senate could not be destroyed then by handshake, I can tell you nothing else will affect this Senate. This Senate will grow in leap and out, it will become strong. And I want to ask my brother, Senator Kitugo from Lamu, fear not, as the Bible says. Fear not, don't fear anybody. Fear only those who kill the flesh, the body, and the soul. But this one will only kill other things. I want to assure you, as the good Mr. Speaker, I know you are a son of a clergy. So we want to encourage Senator Kituku to fear not. Don't fear anybody. We are here, and we shall work together through that. But we have gone through many challenges, my brother. Our colleague, Senator Lilegwe, our deputy majority whip, to some point, he was put in a boot of Subaru, but now he's the deputy majority whip, up to all the way from here to Maraland. I'm not saying you must go through to a boot of Subaru, but what I'm encouraging you, things are getting better going in the future. With those very remarks, thank the House leadership led by Senator Aaron Cheruiyot and Senator, our majority leadership. I think this is the side, Mr. Speaker, that we do consultation so that members can get their best and serve to their best. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support the motion.
Now that you have mentioned my late father, he used to tell me that never keep your trust in a man, always trust in God. Amen. And that is why you people did not keep your trust in man last time. You trusted in God, and now you are serving in good positions. Similarly, Senator, my friend, Eduku from Ram, fear not as you have been told. Next time you will be in a better position than where you are. Therefore, I want to give now Senator Mbugua Mongai, George.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of this motion and congratulate my friend, Senator Kisang, on the new assignment. Mr. Speaker, I also want to congratulate the leadership of our side, the majority side, for the way they have treated us, especially the new senators. We are happy. We've been having a very peaceful time. We've been taken care of by the leadership. Personally, I'm indebted to Senator, the bullfighter, Bodi Halwale, and we are happy. We have settled well. I support.
Thank you, Senator Karole. When next time somebody praises you, don't clap yourself for yourself. You wait for you wait for other people to clap for you. Maybe I can request them to do it for you so that you can feel happy at least. Yes, good. That is nice. Senator Medu. Then Senator Veronica, next. 2 minutes each, kindly.
Maybe, Mr. Speaker, I know why Senator Harole has to clap very loudly. He really gets those kind of accolades because he really does very good things, but it's okay. Now, Mr. Speaker, I also want to support this motion. As many of my colleagues have said, the movements are very important for our learning. I had an opportunity, Mr. Speaker, of serving in the committee that Senator Akoli will be serving. I served in the Public Investments Committee, albeit for a day, when I was sent there by the majority whip to serve in that committee for that one day. And I would want to say that even if it was for a day, I had my fair share of lessons from it. And Mr. Speaker, as I wind up, I think these are major lessons that we need to learn on the way movements are being done on the side of the majority. We do not need to disagree or look like some of our, some members are lesser members than the others. Any of us can be in any committee, any of us can be in any position of leadership. We do not have to do the kind of hula baloo that we've witnessed this afternoon. It is as easy as people sitting down, agreeing so that we are able to move all of us. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I feel it is a big injustice to the people that elected the people that walked out. Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya says that power belongs to the people. They exercise it directly or through their elected representative. I do not think, Mr. Speaker, there is anybody that was elected to the Senate of Kenya to come and walk out. There's no way. We are now discussing very important matters here. And the people of the constituencies of the senators who left, they are not represented in the Senate. We have just discussed a very important bill, rather a very important bill has been brought by the Committee on Finance and Budget. The people of the constituencies of the senators who left, they are not represented. Nobody is there to speak for them. But maybe then it is time, especially for the people of those regions, to reconsider on the kind of people that they are electing to the Senate. I do not think, Mr. Speaker, the people of Nyandarua would clap for me for walking out of the Senate, Mr. Speaker. So that is something that we really, as a people, must agree that it's not the kind of leadership that we want for our country. And if that is the kind of, because Mr. Speaker, you must also get to understand where this matter came from. Yesterday there was a PG of the senators who walked out. So if these are the instructions of their party leader, who claims that he would have wanted to be a president, it means that he would have walked out on the problems of the people of Kenya. If he's not able to sort out our economy, he would just walk out. If he's not able to sort out our roads, he would just walk out. If he's not able to walk out, to work on our health, he would just walk out. Because if that is the kind of instructions that he gave his members, then it means that he believes in walking out. So, Mr. Speaker, time for such kind of leaders is long gone. And as I wind up, Mr. Speaker, as young people of this country, we need and must invest in ensuring that we change the paradigm of the political order that has been there, so that we can be able to have it ourselves, so that we're able to take the country where we want it to be. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Veronica Waheti Duati.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity. I'm Senator Veronica Maina. Duati is still my father's name. I prefer Maina. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise to support the motion that has been presented to the table. This is a motion where members from the majority side have been assigned different committees, and sometimes change can bring discomfort. But all the same, what we must acknowledge and accept is that all the senators serving in this House are equally qualified to serve in any capacity. And I believe all the members who've been assigned different committees have the requisite qualifications and skills to serve to the best of their ability, Mr. Speaker, sir. I was serving at the Energy Committee, and Mr. Speaker, sir, I would want to urge the new member who is replacing me in the Energy Committee to continue co-working with the colleagues in the Energy Committee, the other senators, and Mr. Speaker, sir, to specifically focus on the cost of power bills in the Republic of Kenya, because we cannot continue talking about the cost of living being high when the power bills are at an all-high level. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would congratulate all the members who've been moved to different committees and those who've been assigned committees who did not have committees. And I would urge every committee to dispense its mandate with the seriousness it deserves. Mr. Speaker, sir, there are some members who are assigned committees, but they actually do not attend the committee meetings. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the responsibility of every member who's been assigned, and we would specifically persuade members on the majority side to take their responsibilities very seriously within those committees, dispense what is supposed to be done, and enrich the processes that are being done by the Senate. Mr. Speaker, sir, on a very different note, I want to bring your attention to Standing Order 43, which deals with the order of business of the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I hope I will not be out of order, to indicate that when business is being introduced into this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, it needs to be placed before Senate within a certain period of time, and it is posted to the parliamentary website at least 12 hours before the Senate meets. And if there is a supplementary order paper, it should be made available at least 1 hour before the Senate meets, Mr. Speaker, sir. So the kind of sabotage I have seen being pushed by the minority side was actually against Standing Order 43, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I would want to urge this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we have to show semblance of order and procedure and total etiquette in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, sir, you must, and Speaker's panel must come very heavy on the orders that standing orders that deal with disorderly conduct, because we have seen very unparliamentary language being used today, Mr. Speaker, sir, especially reference to Chihuahua. I would have even loved to speak when the minority side is on their positions, because the reference of Chihuahua, the little dogs in Chihuahua of Beverly Hills, Mr. Speaker, sir, would have nothing. It is very unparliamentary, should not be allowed in this House, and should not be allowed to interfere with the business of this House. And Mr. Speaker, sir, while we may not agree with some of the conduct or the manner business is being conducted by the minority side, Mr. Speaker, sir, we must enforce and affirm and ensure that the standing orders are respected. I have watched the minority side disrespect your ruling, Mr. Speaker, sir, and that should not be tolerated, because if it is tolerated, a day will come when no business will be conducted in this House, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I support the motion that is before the House, and I congratulate the members who have been appointed different committees.
The last one from Senator Wakili. Is it on this motion?
Well, Mr. Speaker, yes.
Okay.
I'll be very brief because I understand the directions that you had earlier on given. And Mr. Speaker, I also rise to support the changes that the majority side of the House has made in terms of the leadership and membership to the various committees of this House. As has been supported by the members who've talked before me, every member from the side of the majority has got the capacity to take charge and responsibility of the business that is supposed to be transacted in the committee. And I congratulate the members who've been assigned the various roles, and in this case, including the person whom we are meeting about, that is Senator Kisang. And Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Senator David Wakoli, last week, kabisa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Ningependa kushukuru kwa uteuzi wa seneta mwenzangu ambaye alichaguliwa juzi kuhudumu katika kamati hii ya teknolojia na kusema kwamba sasa ni wakati watu wanasonga kwa mawimbi ya teknolojia, na tunakumbuka kwamba tuliwaahidi wa Kenya kwamba shule za msingi na shule za upili na vyuo vya anuwai vile vile vitaweza kuunganishwa na teknolojia na vyuo vikuu. Vile vile tunaweza kushuhudia kwa mtandao kwamba pesa za bottom up, zile za Hustlers Fund, vile vile zinaweza kuchunguzwa na kudadisiwa kupitia teknolojia, na hivi kwamba naafiki wote ambao tumepewa nafasi kama mimi kuhudumu katika kamati ya ukulima, tutaweza kushughulikia masuala ya miwa, masuala ya ngano, masuala ya mifugo kule maeneo ambayo kuna ukame, kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya wote wananufaika kwa serikali ya Kenya Kwanza. Nashukuru Bwana Spika na naunga mkono. Asante.
Asante sana. The mover now to reply.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to reply, I need to bring to the attention of this House that as we are constituted now, no senator garnered more votes than myself, and I'm not shouting about it. And I'm not disrespecting anyone, Mr. Speaker, because I understand as we are in this House, we are all equal as we are brought into this House to represent our people. Mr. Speaker, I'm not even telling you, I got votes 48 times than the senator, my friend from Lamu, whom I respect very much. Mr. Speaker, as I move to reply, I thank the members of this House for supporting this motion. I think it is my first motion, and nobody has opposed this motion. And I agree with Senator Cherargei saying that, Mr. Speaker, that 80% of the Senate work is done in the committees. That is true, and I would like that to be remembered by this House when we go along in conducting our business. Mr. Speaker, Senator Mbugua requested that we support the new members so that they can have the experience of other members who have been here, including the ranking members, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I reply, thank you very much, Senator Medhu, because you highlighted a point, Mr. Speaker, that was very important, that in this side of Kenya Kwanza, even if you're removed from committee, the disagreements are bringing about agreement. Mr. Speaker, Senator Veronica said sometimes when we are moved from a committee, it brings about discomfort. But that discomfort has not been portrayed in this House. We are able, as Kenya Kwanza, to sit down and agree once we look at anybody's talents, the profession, or even the performance of every senator. So I agree. Mr. Speaker, as I reply, thank the other senators for supporting, Senator Sigei, and of course, Senator Wakoli. And I would also mention that we were talking about the committee and County Public Investment Committee, which in short we call it CPIC. But I know Mr. Wakoli, as he was thanking the senator for being introduced or brought about in this committee, he is well aware that the same senator is in the committee of ICT. Maybe there was a little bit of mix-up, Mr. Speaker. So I reply. Thank you.
Thank you. This motion does not involve counties, county governments, and therefore I want to put the question that notwithstanding the resolutions of the Senate made on 19th October 2022 and 15th November 2022 on the approval of senators to serve in select committees of the Senate and pursuant to standing orders 194, 197, and 199 of the Senate approved Senator William Kisang Kipkemoi MP to serve in the County Public Investments and Special Funds Committee in place of Senator James Kamau Morango MP. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 7.
To the Order number 7.
Order number 7, statements.
We have a statement from Senator Mundigi. Alexander.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I arise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek statement from the Standing Committee on Education on reversal of the localization of teachers policy in Embu County by the Teachers Service Commission TSC. In the statement, the committee should 1. State the number of requests received by the TSC from teachers wishing to transfer to schools in their home counties following the reversal of the localization of teachers policy by government, stating why it has taken inordinately long to comply with the government directive. 2. Inform the Senate how many requests by teachers to be transferred to their home counties have been granted, giving a breakdown per county, and further state when the pending request will be processed. 3. State reasons why the Teachers Service Commission is authorizing the transfer of teachers from other counties to Embu County, while not approving similar requests by teachers whose home county is Embu, even after the said teachers requested TSC to be transferred back to their respective sub-counties in Embu. And 4. Spell out measures in place to address challenges faced by TSC in implementing the reversal of delocalization of teachers policy by government. Senator Mundigi, Embu County.
Okay, Senator Esther? Yeah. Yes, yes. Then you can make your comment after the statement from Senator Esther.
Mr. Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare on the status and welfare of baby Sagini Jr., whose eyes were gouged out after he was allegedly abducted by his relatives. In the statement, the committee should appraise the Senate on the status and welfare of baby Junior Sagini, indicating measures and the government has taken in ensuring adequate provision of all his basic needs. 2, state mechanisms, if any, that the government has put in place to ensure effective and efficient response to reported cases of child abuse, neglect, and violence at county and sub-county levels. 3, outline the plans, if any, that the government has put in place to provide for specially trained and designated public prosecutors to handle cases of child abuse, and in ensuring the child protection centers are managed by trained counselors. 4, shed light on the loopholes and challenges affecting the realization and implementation of comprehensive child protection services in Kenya. And finally, recommend measures that can be adopted to increase public awareness and sensitization on the widespread challenge of child abuse, neglect, and violence in Kenya. My other statement, Mr. Speaker, I also rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on the issue of general topical concern, namely the state of child protection services in Kenya and the manner in which child abuse cases are being reported and handled. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to a new national study conducted by the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, 1 in 2 young adults in Kenya experience violence as a child, whether physical, sexual, or emotional. One example that stood out recently is the very sad and unfortunate case of baby Sagini, an innocent 3-year-old boy who was left blind after his close relatives gouged out his eyes. It then begs the question, What's the problem and where is the help for those vulnerable children that so desperately need it? Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 53(1)(d) of the Constitution states that every child has the right to be protected from abuse, neglect, harmful cultural practices, all forms of violence, inhumane treatment and punishment, and hazardous or exploitative labor. The rights of children have also been protected and preserved by a number of legislation, including the Children's Act 2022 and the Convention on the Rights of the Child. Other strategies and policies have also been put in place at the policy level to address the matter of child protection. Mr. Speaker, sir, all this support my earlier assertion that despite the government's robust legal and policy framework for protecting children, thousands of young Kenyans experience violence, abuse, and neglect every year. This results in impairment of their chances for long-term health and well-being, education, as well as professional success. It's evident from the foregoing that the problem with the current status of child protection services is in the implementation, not in our constitution, laws, or policies. Mr. Speaker, sir, in order to safeguard children from abuse, neglect, violence, and exploitation, I want to emphasize the importance of putting in place an efficient child protection system. While appreciating the country's efforts to enact the proper laws and policies, including the ratification of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, it's crucial to ensure that sufficient resources are provided in order to put these laws and policies into action. This may be achieved through strengthening comprehensive child protection services and implementing particular interventions such as, 1, establishment of child protection centers in every sub-county, 2, the development of an integrated data management system for children, 3, the implementation of children rehabilitation programs, 4, facilitation of alternative family care services, that is adoption, foster care, and guardianship, and finally, the finalization and implementation of the National Community Development Policy. I now call upon this Senate, being the protector of county government, to ensure the above interventions are followed up through the relevant standing committee to ensure implementation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Next order. Oh, sorry. There are comments from a few senators. Senator Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this chance. You know, we have long established a tradition, Mr. Speaker, that when time allows sometimes, and colleagues brings statements that are topical and maybe for one reason or the other, we feel that the need to either enrich or just give a general comment on the statements, we are permitted. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me this chance, and I believe maybe the rest of my colleagues as well. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the statement by Senator Mundigi, only that I wish to request that the same actually, as TSC brings a report before the Education Committee, the same can be expanded so that we get a countrywide report as opposed to the report of Embu County alone. The reason I say this, Mr. Speaker, is that I know during our campaigns, Mr. Speaker, and you know this for a fact, and the rest of the colleagues who campaigned with us, that every time we visited various far-flung part of the country, Mr. Speaker, teachers will arise in our meetings and demand an end to this delocalization policy in the form and structure that it is currently being executed, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, there are benefits, there are pros and cons. Benefits to this delocalization policy that TSC can espouse on, and when you listen to them, it makes sense. The only bit that I do not agree with, Mr. Speaker, is where it almost becomes either forceful or even sometimes, as is the case nowadays, increasingly becoming the case in TSC, when it is used actually as a form of punishment. When you find a teacher, say from Meru, from Embu, being told to go and teach in a far-flung primary school somewhere in Lamu or in Ugunja and Siaya, you know, parts of the country that they have never been, they have no relatives, they have nothing to do there. And you understand, Mr. Speaker, the salary of a teacher, you know, because there's nothing extra that teachers are being paid, those that are teaching outside, what will naturally pass as their home. Mr. Speaker, if you recall back in the day, and you observed, teachers were very much revered back in the village. I say this, Mr. Speaker, because I know the kind of respect we used to accord to teachers in the community where we grew up. And that afforded us the chance to be disciplined, Mr. Speaker, because it meant that when you ran into a teacher, it was not only that you feared them in classrooms, but even deep down in the community. Whenever you saw a teacher, you knew that discipline had to be maintained. That is not the case anymore, Mr. Speaker, because if you bring a teacher who's from outside the region or the locality where the kid or the children come from, Mr. Speaker, there are many things that that particular teacher or the students will even struggle with. Cultural issues, understanding the background of where the kids come from. Mr. Speaker, this is one policy that needs to be properly thought out. I am not fully opposed to it per se, Mr. Speaker, but I feel that it is mostly perhaps should be carried out in a more consultative manner, and ensuring that the teachers who are willing are given first priority, Mr. Speaker. Because among themselves, there are teachers who want to trade places. You'll find a teacher who is in Meru and wants to teach in Embu, and another one who's in Embu and wants to teach in Meru. Through their own ways and means, they can engage. If it fits the bill, you can do the transfer, Mr. Speaker. But as it is the case today, TSC has a firm iron fist on this particular policy, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I support the statement by Senator Mundigi. I know this was a campaign promise that we made as an administration, and it is important that Chairman Senator Joe Nyotu and his Education Committee brings the Senate up to speed in terms of explaining to us how far this policy has reached. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the chance.
Senator Sigei Wakiri Hilary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support the statement that has been sought by the Honorable Senator Mundigi. And, Mr. Speaker, I am aware that following interventions that came in sometimes in the last month, even the Speaker of the National Assembly made a finding on the status or the legality of the policy on delocalization. Indeed, as the Majority Leader has submitted before this House, there are benefits that come with teachers being transferred to their home areas. There are equally benefits that come with teachers teaching from far-flung areas. But, Mr. Speaker, the policy, as it has been put, has got its own challenges. Majorly is the foundation which led to the discussion and a very lengthy conversation about the ability of the teacher to teach in places where, number one, they are even unable to get places of residence. For instance, Mr. Speaker, from my county, there are schools where principals or head teachers of such institutions are unable to get places of residence and are therefore assimilated by the community. It takes a long time for them to be able to even adapt to the kind of environment that they are expected to live in, and as a consequence, their ability to deliver, to work within the institution is hampered. Similarly, Mr. Speaker, the policy at some instances, because we have got statistics from among our members of the Teachers Service Commission, where somebody has got 1 year or 2 years to retire from the teaching profession, is sent to a place where he or she do not get the means of transport. And when we speak into such issues, Mr. Speaker, you realize that the policy has been applied, not for purposes of the benefits that comes with it, but as a tool for punishing some of the teachers. Mr. Speaker, the position that was taken, that has been taken, and the communication that came from the Teachers Service Commission, that this ought to have ended by the 31st of last month, has not been achieved. Mr. Speaker, I am aware from my county, for instance, over 85 teachers are stationed in one county called Bungoma, and at the expense of them teaching, their business have been camping in the regional Teachers Service Commission offices as they await for their delocalization back to their areas of residence. And, Mr. Speaker, that in itself has hampered their ability to teach. they have been unable to even run to serve in the places where they're supposed to be. And as we await for the Teacher Service Commission to issue a statement or a report, as we have been notified, they should be able also to fast track and process the applications which are pending, so that the teachers who have made applications are allowed to go back to their places, and they are also given the opportunity to teach and serve the children and the parents from their places where they are able to do the best in terms of what teaching is expected of them. Mr. Speaker, I therefore encourage the chairperson of the Education Committee, if there is anything that he can do together with his team to make sure that this policy, as it has been decided, be let off so that our teachers are allowed to go back to their places, to have their families, and to do that which they are paid to do, rather than camping in their regions asking for their transfers back to their place. Mr. Speaker, I support and I encourage the Teacher Service Commission to implement this as soon as they are able to. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator William Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to thank the Senator for his statement. And Mr. Speaker, I really support this statement because across the country, there has been serious complaints on the fact that the localization program initially, Mr. Speaker, was meant to achieve a very important principle of ensuring that we can be able to exchange members of teachers in various countries, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in Baringo County, for example, we have had a challenge of insecurity, Mr. Speaker, where teachers posted from other regions are unable to teach in those schools which are facing security situations. And Mr. Speaker, because of this, we have had a number of schools not having sufficient teachers to teach in those schools. And Mr. Speaker, when the issue of delocalization was actually abandoned, that was the solution, Mr. Speaker. But unfortunately, Mr. Speaker, some teachers from Baringo in other counties, Mr. Speaker, like in Turkana County and other counties, have not been allowed to go back to their county to be able to teach. Mr. Speaker, I think the Teacher Service Commission should be able to review that decision to abandon the principle, or rather the decision to move away from the policy of delocalization. Mr. Speaker, it is very important. Families also have had challenges. Mr. Speaker, you find a young member of a family, their wife or a husband, being taken very far from his family, Mr. Speaker, very young families. So, Mr. Speaker, I think it is important that the entire policy on delocalization should be actually looked into, so that then we uphold also the family situation in our homes. Mr. Speaker, even teachers who are about to retire, live, with 1 year or 2 years, being transferred, Mr. Speaker, to very far places from their families in the principle of, just because of the issue of delocalization. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to plead that as the Committee on Education of this House considers a statement by the Senator, it is important, Mr. Speaker, that they consider all the issues arising from this policy by TSE. I would propose, Mr. Speaker, that the report from the committee should include the situation in all the 47 counties, and Baringo, Mr. Speaker, being one of them. And I want to raise particularly a lot of teachers from Baringo who are in Turkana are unable, Mr. Speaker, to go back to their county so that they are able to teach. Mr. Speaker, I want to request the TSE also as they consider the issue of posting teachers, Mr. Speaker, they need to have what I would call an affirmative action for areas where we have insecurity, Mr. Speaker, so that as they post teachers, they should allocate the posting of teachers in those schools. And we prefer, Mr. Speaker, teachers from those areas with security situation, Mr. Speaker, to be posted there. In Baringo, for example, Mr. Speaker, I would encourage the TSC, Mr. Speaker, and I will be raising this when the committee will be considering the statement, that teachers from Baringo who are from the areas having security situation should actually be allowed, Mr. Speaker, to be able to go and teach in those schools. Mr. Speaker, the Kenya Kwanza government has a responsibility of ensuring that we uphold the family. And one of the ways, Mr. Speaker, is TSC should reconsider the policy and ensure that the localization policy is actually abandoned and referred back to the original decision to allow members of staff or teachers to go to their respective counties. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Senator Cheptumo. Senator Eddy, we have been going on well in this House. Allow the Honorable Senator who was in the floor to submit before the House in silence. Honorable Senator Cherargei. Senator Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, if Senator Eddy wants to contribute, he's just queue. Mr. Speaker.
Senator Eddy, the Speaker has got the discretion to allow you or not. Senator Cherargei, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I want to rise to support the statement on the implementation of the reversal of the localization of teachers policy, I think across the country, Mr. Speaker. And you remember when most of us were campaigning in the run-up to 2022 general election, one of the key issues that we did, Mr. Speaker, can I be protected? Because the standing orders...
Senator Eddy, allow Senator Cherargei to proceed and prosecute his points. The Speaker will allow you an opportunity to raise. Cherargei, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, so this one, the localization issue, I remember when we were campaigning, Mr. Speaker, right to education under Article 53 to our children is very important. It should be affordable and quality, number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, when you were campaigning, most teachers were complaining from across the country. Teachers who are even have pressure, teachers who are diabetic, getting 1 to 2 years to retire, being posted all the way from Nandi, for example, to Mombasa. From Mombasa to Namanga, Mr. Speaker. And these are people who, by the way, Mr. Speaker, were only having few to 3 years to retire, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of, apart from sickness, Mr. Speaker, this issue of the localization had affected marriages, Mr. Speaker. Because somebody is posted to Northeastern Garissa, the wife is in Mutembei or in somewhere in Kisumu, Mr. Speaker. This was undermining the family unit as a society and the right to family that the Constitution provides, Mr. Speaker.
What's your point of order, Senator Eddy?
Mr. Speaker, I raise under point of order number 39, number 40, and number 41. Number 40 says, the quorum of the Senate or a committee of the whole shall be 15 senators. Number 41 says, if at any time in the course of the proceedings of the Senate, a senator objects that there is no quorum present, the Speaker of or the chairperson shall count the senators present in the Senate or the committee as case be. If any of the count under paragraph 1 a quorum does not appear to be present, the Speaker or the chairperson shall cause the division bell to ring on division. Mr. Speaker, there is no quorum in the proceedings that are going on in this House, and I seek your attention to abide by those 3 standing orders. Thank you.
Proceed, Senator Cherargei.
rule on that matter. So what I was saying, Mr. Speaker, apart from, Mr. Speaker, apart from the issue...
Just hold. Senator Eddy.
Please do share,
The chair has listened to you. You have raised your point of order. The chair is consulting and a ruling is being made.
Correct.
Why can't you be patient? Why can't you have decorum in the House? You have raised your point. Senator Cherage.
Mr. Speaker,
Senator Cherage,
as I was saying... Okay.
Hold for the Speaker to make a decision. Senator Eddy, there is some benefit when people approach issues with decorum. There is always a benefit that you get. Thank you. Mr. Clerk, could you kindly confirm whether the House is quorate? Members, the clerk has just confirmed that the House has got 11 members, so indeed we do not have a quorum. May the clerk ring the quorum bell.
In the normal manner. It's not a big thing. Okay, relax.
Members, Majority Leader, could you please take your seat? Members, we now have quorum. I order that the quorum bell be stopped and the Honorable Senator Cherage proceed in the floor.
Mr. Speaker, life nowadays in Senate is very interesting. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this statement on the localization of teachers. As I was saying before that episode, Mr. Speaker, this issue of the localization formed part of the basis when some of us were going around the country and our counties. Many teachers would stand and say, what are you going to do about the localization? Even from Bomet, Nandi, all the way to Nyandarua, and even all the way to Migori, teachers were crying out loud, why this delocalization? And there was a lot of promises that we made that we'll look at this policy. Mr. Speaker, and you remember through the President, and I think teachers are still very grateful through President William Ruto's administration, they have tried to ensure that, Mr. Speaker, this issue of policy of delocalization should be moved because it was raising havoc in the lives of teachers, Mr. Speaker. And I was saying, you find a teacher who is 6 months, 1 year, 2 years to retire, honestly being posted all the way from Nandi to Moyale, for example. They are old. They only have 2 years. They want just, Mr. Speaker, to even serve for the next few years before they go to retirement, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, some of these teachers were old. Mr. Speaker, even I agree that every worker should work or every government employee should work across the country. But some of them were sickly, Mr. Speaker. Others were diabetic, others high blood pressure, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, I really want to say this issue of delocalization must be relooked. I wish this policy would have been done away with so that teachers can work where they are comfortable and ensure Article 53 of the Constitution is not compromised. The third point, Mr. Speaker, this issue of delocalization was raising havoc among families, Mr. Speaker, because you find their wife is being posted to Karachuonya somewhere in the Luo Nyanza, Mr. Speaker, and the husband is posted in somewhere in Wajir or in Turkana, Mr. Speaker. That in its way was systematically breaking down, Mr. Speaker, on the aspect or on the issue, Mr. Speaker, of the family. Family is the core unit of society, Mr. Speaker. It's an important unit that must be protected, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on this issue of the local, from Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, and that is why I agree with this statement. What is it? Because, Mr. Speaker, when I look at my phone, there are so many SMSs, Mr. Speaker. People from Nandi requesting that I saw many people being taken back to their counties, Mr. Speaker. But most of my teachers that are outside Nandi are struggling to come back home, Mr. Speaker, because, and that is why TSC directors need to be honest, and even TSC itself, by telling us in each and every county how many requests were made for delocalization or for a teacher to move back to their home county, Mr. Speaker. And I think the TSC should operate on a policy of need basis, where, Mr. Speaker, you request. You are not demanded, Mr. Speaker, to leave your home county, or you can even rotate it within the home county. Mr. Speaker, my phone, since the beginning of the year, Mr. Speaker, there has been no peace. Teachers from my county are demanding and want to know when TSC is going to assist them get back to Nandi so that they can go back to their work, to their families, and continue serving our students in accordance with the right to education in terms of quality education that we are talking about, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, finally, because I know most colleagues, everybody is a teacher, Mr. Speaker, and as a son of a teacher, Mr. Speaker, because my mom was a teacher, Mr. Speaker, when I hear anything about teachers, I become emotional because I grew and I saw how teachers were being treated, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, even as we talk about delocalization, we must enhance hardship allowance, Mr. Speaker, because it is okay to give hardship allowance in northern frontier, hard places in maybe in some places. For example, in Nandi, a place like Terik Ward, a place like Tindret Ward, and most a number of places, their hardship allowance, including Chiamasa, Chemelil Ward, Mr. Speaker, their hardship allowance should be enhanced, Mr. Speaker, and even teachers who are posted, Mr. Speaker, to work in slum schools, especially in towns like Nairobi, like Kisumu, where the life is very expensive, Mr. Speaker. They should be included in their hardship, or if they are, Mr. Speaker, their hardship should be enhanced. Because the life and movement within those slums and most of those areas, Mr. Speaker, we need enhancement of their hardship allowances, Mr. Speaker, because it assists them, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that they do their work in a way, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even as we, and I want to thank the President, Mr. Speaker, Dr. William Ruto administration, for agreeing that in as much as the shortage of teachers, he has begun on rolling out, and by the first phase, 30,000 teachers, Mr. Speaker, are going to be hired in this financial year. He has promised in the next financial year, Mr. Speaker, and I remember, Mr. Speaker, you are one of the people who drafted the plan and many charters that we included the education charter, Mr. Speaker. So the President is doing very well by bringing that, cutting that gap, by ensuring that every child has access to teaching and competent teachers, Mr. Speaker. Finally, Mr. Speaker, the issue I'm told, and I saw somewhere yesterday by the Ministry of Education, that 20,000 learners are yet to join junior secondary school of grade 7, Mr. Speaker. Because apparently the parents are now colluding with schools, Mr. Speaker, to ensure those students of grade 7 go to class 8. But I thought under the Ministry of Education, Mr. Speaker, there is NAMIS, and there is unique personal identifier, Mr. Speaker, that should be used, so that if a student is given a personal identifier number, they just move from grade 7 to junior secondary school, Mr. Speaker. I know teaching, and this issue of CBC, Mr. Speaker, I think the President has formed task force. I want to appeal to parents and other stakeholders, including teachers. Let us give the government and the President task force to come up with radical changes. And I want to confirm to the country, the Constitution is very clear that it is affordable See, this CBC will assist building skills on our children, Mr. Speaker, so that they can become people who they can rely. Mr. Speaker, are you aware, as we talk today, even our children do not know how to make tea, only tea, or even light a fire, Mr. Speaker. And this, they cannot, in fact, Mr. Speaker, I doubt if some of the members collapse here, they know how to perform first aid, Mr. Speaker. And these are the skills that CBC will come with. I want to appeal to the parents. Let us allow the government to review the CBC, come up with the proposals. If there is anything that parents have reservations, the law is very clear. There is right to public participation, Mr. Speaker, and therefore the ministry should move fast and ensure those 20,000 learners that are not yet enrolled to join secondary school, junior secondary school, are enrolled, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank Senator Mundigi. I think Mundigi is one of the nuclear atomic senators in this House, Mr. Speaker. I think on majority side, I want to ask majority leader to be getting his services, especially when the minority side want to do what is not, because Mundigi can be very effective. And I want to thank Senator Mundigi because he has really bring alive issues. I remember he brought an issue of drought. Now he's bringing about, and this is real bottom up, Mr. Speaker, that we have been discussing. So Senator Mundigi, you are a valued member of this team. And as majority leader should organize something every Friday that he passes through the Senator Aaron's office and ensure he's well taken care of. With those many remarks, I support and congratulate Senator Mundigi and wish Senator Eddie all the best.
Thank you very much, Senator Cherargei. You've made me to remind myself the directives earlier on by the Speaker when he was directing the Honorable Senator Bullfighter that you should not clap for yourself when you're given accolades. I had to restrain myself from doing the same. Thank you very much for your contribution. Senator David Wakwali Wafula, 1 minute so that we can move to the next order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I want to add my voice on the debate on the localization. We have cases that have, I'm a teacher by profession, and we have cases of, and it is in media, where honorable members in their constituencies thump their chests, incite locals, and ensure people who have been recruited by TSC to teach in those areas do not land. And therefore, such utterances necessitate teachers to demand or request them to be moved to safer zones. I want to request the Committee on Education to find a solution to this if there are honorable members who incite locals that teachers should not learn to be ably handled by the law to allow teachers to teach where they want. We have scenarios where head teachers and teachers are delocalized because they are not benevolent givers. They are not cheerful givers of teachers and students' money. So we want to ensure that TSC, when they send teachers to school, it is not a punishment or to allow wallets to be opened while people are on transit to difficult zones. We have scenarios where young families, a case in Bumula constituency, where a young lady has 3 children, the husband is in Machakos. But when they demand or request to be delocalized, young man,
Senator,
I beg to assume
Senator
such
Wakoli,
necessary noise.
Senator Wakoli, proceed.
I want to
Senator
assume
Eddie,
the necessary
allow
noise.
the Honorable Senator to contribute in silence.
So this government, as we came into office, we came in promising teachers that they will be brought back to their families. So I want to request the Committee on Education that we must follow up the regions we come from, ensure when people want to be transferred to the areas of choice, they do not have to pay bribes, they do not have to kneel, but they have to be given an opportunity to teach where they deserve. When I was recruited, I was asked a question, are you married? And I think it was important because you are given an opportunity based on your desire and adaptability of the area you teach. So if one is married and has 2 wives, and you send one wife to Mombasa, another one in Busia, and you send this other young man to Machakos, how do you expect this guy to do what God expects them to do? So I hope and hope that the Committee on Education will reflect and highlight these areas in the entire country and give us a report so that teachers are not, do not serve as they whip in this country. Finally, we have had a recruitment. I thank the President and the government for recruiting teachers. These teachers, we have teachers on contract and teachers on permanent. When they will be rolling out an employment of the next cadre of teachers, let them directly employ those on contract without subduing them to unnecessary interviews, because already they have succeeded in the first round. So in the second phase, they should be absorbed so that the other guys can come either on contract or on permanent. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to support my honorable member senator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. We will move to the next order. Majority Leader. Next order.
Statement by the Senate Majority Leader on the business of the Senate for the week commencing Tuesday, the 21st February 2023, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1. Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order number 57-1, I hereby present to the Senate business of the House for the week commencing Tuesday, 21st February 2023. Before I proceed with this statement, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome honorable senators back from the long December 2022 recess. I trust that you have had time to rest and have had the opportunity to interact with your constituents, family, and friends. Mr. Speaker, sir, the business of the Senate includes a total of 16 bills that have been published. The breakdown of the bills are as follows. Bills that are a first reading stage: the Tea Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 1 of 2023 by Senator Hilary Sigei; the Kwanza Technopolis Bill, Senate Bill number 2 of 2023 by Senator Gloria Orwoba; number 3, the Prompt Payment Bill, Senate Bill number 8 of 2022 by Senator Mariam Sheikh Omar; number 4, the County Licensing Uniform Procedures Bill, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022 by Senator Mariam Sheikh; number 6, the Office of the County Printer Bill, Senate Bill number 10 of 2022 by Edwin Sifuna; number 7, the Employment Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 11 of 2022 by Senator Samson Cherargei. These bills have been listed in today's order paper at order number 8 to 13. As is standard practice, these bills will be committed to respective standing committees for consideration pursuant to Standing Order number 145. Pursuant to Standing Order number 148, the committees are required to report back to the Senate within 30 calendar days. I cannot emphasize enough of the need for committees to which these bills have been referred to adhere to these timelines. Bills that are second reading: the County Vocational Education and Training Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2022, Senator Moses Kajwang; Parliamentary Powers and Privilege Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 5 of 2022, Senator Danson Mungatana. The third one, the Natural Resource Benefit Sharing Bill, Senate Bill number 6 of 2022 by Danson Mungatana. Preservation of Human Dignity and Enforcement of Economic and Social Rights, Senate Bill number 7 of 2022 by Danson Mungatana. The Agricultural and Livestock Extension Services Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2022, Maureen Tabitha Mutinda. The Mang Bill, Senate Bill number 13 of 2022 by Senator Enokio Wambua. Then the Startup Bill, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022 by our colleague Senator Crystal Kagehi Asige. For a number of these bills, the 30-day window for submission of committee reports has lapsed. The Senate Business Committee will therefore schedule them for second reading. I urge the respective movers to be in the chamber whenever the bills are on the order paper. The Senate Business Committee will, however, schedule these bills in the order paper for the second reading. In the event that the committee report is tabled ahead of the 30-day period allowed to committees on the bill. C, bills undergoing the concurrence process pursuant to Article 110(3) of the Constitution. The Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill. Thank you, Eddie. Say hi to people in Migori. The Equalization Fund Bill, Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023. Chairperson, Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. 2, the Learners with Disability Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2023 by Senator Professor Magnet Kamar, MP, and Senator Crystal Asige. Bills that are being considered, bill considered by both houses enacted into law, the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, Senate Bill number 4 of 2022 by the Chairperson Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. Other businesses before the Senate include 4 petitions, a number of statements pursuant to Standing Order number 52 and 53. I urge respective standing committees to hasten the consideration of statements and petition and to table the report thereon pursuant to standing orders, Mr. Speaker, sir, at the next meeting of the Senate Business Committee, scheduled for Tuesday, the 21st of February 2023, the committee will consider the business as outlined above and schedule accordingly in the order paper. The business for today, 21st February, projected to contain business that will not be concluded from today's order paper and any other business scheduled. The order paper for Wednesday, 22nd, 2023 will contain business that will be concluded on Tuesday, the 21st, 2023, as well as motions, petitions, and statements, while on Thursday, the 23rd of February, 2023, the Senate will continue with business that will not be concluded on Wednesday, 22nd February, 2023, and any other business as directed by the SBC. In the coming days, Mr. Speaker, the Senate will receive a number of reports. Number 1, on the budget policy statement from Standing Committee on Finance Budget, the nominees for appointment on Climate Change Council for Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. 3, the nominee for appointment of a position of Deputy Governor of Central Bank of Kenya from the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget. 4, the nominee for the appointment of a position of non-member of the non-member of Parliament Commissioner to the Parliamentary Service Commission. The Senate Business Committee will schedule business for consideration of these reports as well as and when they are tabled. Suffice to say that these committees need to adhere to the requirements of the Public Finance Management Act and the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act as regard to the timelines which were communicated by the Speaker when committing the matters to the respective committees. Mr. Speaker, sir, from the aforesaid, the Senate begins the second session with an already full plate. I therefore urge committees to prioritize House business before any other matter. During the induction retreats, it was observed that the Senate has a better chance at passing bills and other business in the first half of the parliamentary term. Let us use this opportunity to expeditiously consider business before the House and to be available in the chamber during debate and divisions. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, concern was expressed on the floor of the House in yesterday's sitting on availability of mover of bills, motion and statement without leave from the Speaker. I undertake to bring this matter to the attention of the SPC at its next sitting so that appropriate action of this matter may be taken. That being said, I urge the movers of business scheduled in the order paper to be in the House to prosecute them. I thank you and hereby lay the statement on the table of the Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this statement has spoken to many things, and many of them self-explanatory. But I cannot overemphasize on the need for 2 things. Number 1, senators to be present in the House, and 2, for committees to prioritize business that is coming to the House. Bills that are before them, vetting of various nominees, ensuring that this House processes as many bills as possible, especially during this particular session. I hope colleagues, senators, will abide by that rallying call. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I hope next week to be a better week than the week that we've seen. And you know, Mr. Speaker, I'll just make a simple comment. It's not that we have not seen what you have seen today, Mr. Speaker. But at first I want to appreciate the behavior and the conduct of my colleagues on the majority side. Despite enormous amounts of provocation, they have kept their cool, they have remained calm, even when the leader of minority, together with his troops, decided to stagger the business of this House for more than 1.5 hours on a single item, something that we need not to have debated extensively, Mr. Speaker. I think they are setting a very bad precedent, Mr. Speaker. We need to live in a country that believes in the rule of law. If, for sure, you feel that you have a justified communication that you expect from the speaker. The obvious thing is to find out. If the speaker says, give me time, I've received your letter, but I want to exercise my mind. The speaker is not a conveyor belt that you give any letter and just expect that he'll come and... Otherwise, then the standing orders will have expressly provided that once it has been decided, there's no need for the speaker to communicate. The reason why it is provided that a speaker communicates changes is so that speaker can guide all of us. There will come a time that even these same members, some of whom are now making noise at the speaker, will demand that the speaker hears and bears them out as they are being mistreated by some of the machinations. Because I have seen the games that play out in the minority side. I have seen and observed and know the kind of games they play on each other and the kind of political moves that they make on each other. Today you think you're comfortable in a particular position. Tomorrow, people like this same Ledama that is cannot allow the speaker to make their contribution. They'll be seeking the attention of the speaker that protect me. Oh, this PG was not properly convened. They did not attain the threshold. You know, Mr. Speaker, it is very basic that allow the speaker to exercise his own independence, observe the matter that you have raised, and I believe in the course of time the speaker will communicate. Otherwise, if we set a precedent, Mr. Speaker, where when you disagree with the ruling of a speaker, you paralyze the business of the house, you raid the speaker, you throw words at each other, we start chanting and singing and bringing all kind of picketing behavior into the house, then we will not have a Senate. This is a house of law and order. There are many times that the speaker, even in this current Senate, has ruled against us on the majority side. I didn't see any of my member block the speaker from transacting business and doing the things that were expected on them. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I believe and I hope that my colleagues from the minority side will behave better next week. They will abide by the rule of law. They will know, Mr. Speaker, you know, you need to declare Senator Eddie Okech disorderly because you cannot come to the house and start heckling people. Even if, Mr. Speaker, you cannot allow heckling to go on in the house. There is a procedure of how you declare point of order. The man has walked into the house. He has not even ordered the interjection battle, but he's already shouting. Mr. Speaker, please protect the dignity of this house and send Eddie out of this house so that he can go and heckle outside.
Senator Eddie, I would like to remind you of the standing orders of this house. Standing order number 121. You've just come in. You are yet to sit down. You are shouting. A colleague senator is on the floor addressing the chair. Senator Eddie, relook at the provisions of Standing Order 121 C and F, and please behave. Majority Leader, conclude on your remarks.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. The standing orders, Mr. Speaker, are very clear on how even a member, when you want to prosecute a standing order, behaves. You press the interjection button, you wait to catch the attention of the speaker. You don't start shouting and disorienting everybody who's making a contribution. Mr. Speaker, can you protect the dignity of this house? I can see that Senator Eddie is urging. You know what he wants? He just wants to record back at home that he was kicked out of the house. That's what you're inviting him to. This is a kind of bonga points that we don't need to bring to the Senate. That's all he's seeking. Cheap publicity. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, if you allow this kind of behavior, where members walk in, they disrupt others, we will not have a Senate. Nobody has a monopoly of shouting at others. Mr. Speaker, sir, I urge my colleagues to leave to the expectation of the statement and follow through with the business as we have requested. Thank you for the chance, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Majority Leader. For avoidance of doubt, honorable members, earlier on we have passed a number of motions in the changes in committee membership of the House. We are aware that the bulk of the business of this House is transacted in committees. I urge the honorable members to make sure that they participate where necessary in those committees so that we can transact the business of the House. And Senator Eddie, I can see you, I can hear you. I'm cautioning you as to your conduct because the Speaker, the Chair can see, can listen, and can make decisions. Next order, please.
Order number 8, the T Amendment Bill Senate Bills number 1 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of
Honorable Senators, let us make some progress now. Let us make some progress. The minority leader, you very well know what you are frogging. And you know where your communication is. Yes. Yeah. So, where is the communication? Where is it? It's letter. Minority leader, please don't approach the chair again. Go back to your seat. Don't approach the chair again. Don't approach the chair again. You and Honorable please resume your seats. Resume your seats. I want us to proceed. You know I'm being very lenient, honorable members, and I've called you severally. I want us to proceed with the business of today's business. And I proceed to read the message. This is a petition by the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly. Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have pursuant to Standing Order 48.4 and 6 received a message from the Speaker of Nyandarua County Assembly. The message dated Wednesday, 7th December 2022, and communicated by way Makina, you are grossly out of order. And I will read to you, standing on the 121, Senator Renda Morekina. A senator is disorderly if the senator creates disorder. And now, because revoking standing on the 121, I request Senator Orekina to leave this house until the next sitting. Senator Orekina, I have said you are exhibiting gross misconduct, and please, the sergeant at arms, remove Senator Orekina until the next sitting of this house. And I will continue to finish. Ensure allocation of funds by the national government for the construction of dams in Nyandarua County for the distribution and use by the residents of the county for domestic and commercial use, especially irrigation, which is a major source of revenue. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 87.7, which states that when a message from a county assembly, minority leader, you are next. Minority leader, you are next. Minority leader, standing on the 121, also is faulting you new. Minority leader, you are very disorderly, and also request you to leave the premise. Minority leader, Senator Rekina, both of you to leave the chamber until tomorrow. The two members should leave. The two members should leave the house. We cannot proceed before you leave. Senator Rendama and Minority Leader. Whoever is withdrawing, please do it silently so that we can transact business. Okay. So, Honorable Senators, I've read this message.
Thank you. So how did yesterday go? Yesterday I couldn't